Yeah, let me say something about my view of musical form. Music is made up by harmony, rhythm and timbre. But the building blocks in themselves are numbers. Yes, music is really nothing but mathematics and organization of numbers. You can think of harmony as the phenomena of frequencies that sound paired with each other. You can call it fifths, fourths and octaves or whatever. And the relation to each other in terms of how they vibrate on a string is set in a Fibonacci sequence. This is a number sequence you can find everywhere in nature, as for instance how plants organize the crown leaves and how the DNA molecules are assembled. Also, the magic indivisible number 5 shows us that the numbers are somewhat organized in nature, but we can only see so little of it. Pythagoras was an ancient philosopher who confirmed that the fact that this natural organization of harmonious sounds was a proof of an underlying order in nature, and that order was built by numbers. Harmony talks to our mood, and yet it's built up by very complex mathematical forms. For instance, counterpoint, which is the universal rule that dictates the relationship between melodies that are harmonically interdependent yet independent in rhythm contour, making it sound structural and pleasant for the ears. Johann Sebastian Bach was in his time a master of using this technique, but he did not invent it. It's always been there since the beginning of time because it's a part of nature. Isn't that a fascinating train of thoughts? There is really something out there. I think every time I sit down for a writing session, I try to pursue what is out there in this intangible world of ideas, and every time I do learn a little bit more about it. But what I think is even more interesting is the rhythm, the phenomena that links music to the timeline. It is in itself even more mathematical. I'm attracted to complex time signatures because listening or playing it induces a feeling of excitement. When I'm writing, I'm totally into numbers, groups and repositions of numbers, and I'm playing around with different combinations, like, for instance, the Fibonacci sequence. I think I'm looking for a combination of time signatures that feels natural in relation to each other. Maybe unconsciously I do that, endeavoring to explore the regularity of nature. And that connection is in itself an excitement in its beauty. In the process of composing or writing, you are kind of over time improvising and repeating musical phrases time after the other on your piano or your MIDI palette. You amend it little by little until you find something that appears to tell a story. Then you repeat it with a variation. The end product is a sculpture of probability. I mean, there is no coincidence. The design is totally you, the way you are designed, the way your work is designed. There is nothing called a free will or creative freedom. It is all dictated by the rules of nature. I often write phrases or small pieces that are then repeated once. Then I go to the next part and repeat that, just like a simple rock tune. Fact is, I didn't myself notice that until my piano tutor told me when we were going through this course that is actually what happens here. And it's very strange, I did not notice that myself. But when you are writing, you are often surprised on how the organization of the time signatures are similar to that of poetry. Phrases that are repeated in groups of two, but with variation and with rhyme. And why is that? In medieval poetry and music, phrases were repeated, and that was what made it magic and unseeingly beautiful. The duality is giving music life. Another proof of the profound meaning of music, isn't it? If you endeavor to create something that is close to unbearably beautiful, something that almost makes you break down and surrender, then you're on the right track. As it is emotion that is the close core of the art of music. Duality talks to my sense of aesthetics. We live in a time when we can look out in space and see how galaxies are colliding, formation of black holes, etc. Everything is ruled by gravity. But when you look down into the small world, in the subatomic microcosmos, completely different things and rather weird things are ruling. Looking into the nature of quantum physics have given me a way of experiencing the nature and also a new set up of experiencing music. Quantum physics has shown that nature is more than enigmatic and beyond our understanding that we knew before. Subatomic particles are able to cross thick brick walls. They can go backwards in time and change things. They can also be at two places at the same time, something called entanglement. But the most mysterious thing is that there is no difference between a particle and a wave. Well, I was actually quite